A very warm welcome to INFOCOM Delhi 2025 presented by ABP Group. Can we have big round applause, all of you? Thank you so much. We are thrilled to have with us today some of the finest leaders, innovators, and visionaries who are shaping the future of business and technology. Over the course of the day, we will explore our central theme, technology future forward. So let's begin this exciting journey. Once again, heartiest welcome to each one of you. And yes, everyone, I'm your host of the day, Ankita Mandal Sarkar. Once again, would like to welcome you all over here. To set the stage, it is my privilege to welcome a stalwart who has played a pivotal role in shaping India's digital and telecom landscape. Dr. R.S. Sharma, visiting professor, IIT Kanpur, and former chairman of TRI and ONDC. Kindly welcome him over here with a big round of applause. Dr. Sharma will deliver the opening keynote on unleashing the power of AI. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, big round of applause for him. Let's welcome him all together. Can we have big round of applause? We all had lunch. Yes, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, friends, and thank you for inviting me to this event. I have been associated with INFOCOM since last, I don't know how many years. I think it was 20 years back or 23 years back in 2002 or 2003, that I had gone to Calcutta. At that time, I was posted as a secretary, principal secretary in Jharkhand, in Ranchi. And I had participated, I had very fond memories of that. And since then, I have participated in about 7 or 8 such events, all in Calcutta. This is actually the first time I think I am sort of speaking from this platform of INFOCOM ABP in Delhi. And Khalida told me that this is actually, they are having a series of these events in various cities of India, which is Delhi, Chennai, Bombay, Bangalore. And then finally it will culminate in Calcutta. And Calcutta, I think the date is also fixed, 5 or 6 December, if I remember correctly. So I really feel very happy to be a part of this event. Thank you very much for inviting me. Typically, I divide my time in IIT Kanpur, where I teach policy, technology, and regulations, and in my village, where I do some bit of kheti, and of course, the rest of the time I am in a place called Noida, the NCR part. Today, I think, of course, today you have the AI and machine learning and deep learning and all these terms which are so prevalent and fashionable. And even if somebody does not understand what AI is, people think that AI is a panacea for all evils and everything can be done by AI. That's the typical, sort of flavor of the day. I am not a man of AI world. I am a person of a much more rooted world where I began my career way back about 46 years back in 1978 in Bihar, and where I did my initial period in the administrative service. I worked as district magistrate in a number of districts. Some of them are quite infamous ones. Begusarai, Dhanbad, Purnia and all that. And then of course there I learned to use technology for delivering government services. So how do you ensure that you can use technology to deliver better services to the people? That was the broad idea in those times of the day. And from that day till today, I still think that any technology, howsoever sophisticated that may be, if it does not do anything for good for the people, it is of no use. So ultimately, technology must always be thought as something which can do, which can make people's lives better, which can, enable you to do better business, ease of living, as our Prime Minister says. So these should be the objectives of technology. And initially when we started technology and when I say technology, I am using the word for information technology, information and communication technology, because technology has multiple dimensions. And because it's INFOCOM, so obviously I think and presume that it deals with information technology. So we used it. But I think the first sort of large-scale project which we undertook in this country was the project of creating digital identities, which is called Aadhaar. Now everyone knows, and I'm sure every one of you has your Aadhaar number, right? So all of us have Aadhaar number now. You have 1.34 billion Aadhaar numbers have been issued. And that was the first time where we actually did a moonshot, because nobody at that time, till that time, had given identities, and not only identities, but unique identities to a large number of people, 1.3 billion people. And people thought that this is impossible task. What you guys are doing is impossible. And there were so many naysayers on the basis of impossibility of undertaking such a tremendous task, naysayers on the basis of violation of privacy, naysayers on the basis of creating a surveillance state, naysayers on the basis of, giving citizenship to all Bangladeshis and all, foreigners. These were some of the concerns which people had expressed in those times. And everybody was actually and Aadhaar has been, as you now know, an extremely successful information technology project which has affected the entire country. But at the same time, it has also been one of the most maligned projects in this country. It has been demonized to such an extent, saying that Aadhaar is a bad thing, and people have now started saying, don't give your Aadhaar to anybody, it will create huge problems for you. Of course, not even a single fellow has been adversely affected by giving his Aadhaar number. I have given mine, nothing happened. So that was the one project which we did. And we did it quite different from what the typical method of doing these projects is concerned. We actually followed the path which was quite unconventional. We did not create identity cards. We created just a number, which is actually a digital number sitting on the cloud, not really residing in these cards. Uniqueness was achieved through biometrics. Now, biometrics is not also sitting in these cards, because there is no card. You can just print your number on any media, whether you can put it in the mobile number also, because it's a 12-digit number, and all mobile numbers are 12-digit if you consider the country code also, 91. So that was a very different way of doing things. And at that time, everybody was poo-pooing the idea, saying that you guys are doing something completely different. And this is not going to work, because many people who have done it before you have not succeeded. UK tried doing it, nothing happened. They had to abandon the project. Nobody has done biometric applications at such a massive scale. And therefore, I think it's a bad idea. But somehow, despite all these oppositions and other things, we ended up doing this project. And this project was certain basic architectural principles which were actually adopted in this project. And why I am emphasizing this is that the future forward of technology for a country like ours will have to follow those basic attributes. And these basic attributes, some of them, if I can recall from my memory, were, one was, it has to be a population scale project. It is not that we are creating identity of a few people, few million people. We are creating 1.4 billion. So if you want to do project of this type, then a couple of things are necessary. One is it has to be done in a very speedy manner. You know, even if we created 1 million identities per day, 1.3 billion would have taken 1300 working days, because 1.3 billion is 1300 million. And 1300 working days, if you take out, 250 or 260 working days in a year, it's about 5 years or 6 years. And if you completed that in 5 years, the number of children which would have born in 5 years and number of guys who would have died in 5 years, you would have never completed this project. So speed is important. Scale is important. In a country like India's diversity, inclusion is important. Because if you say, okay, I will not go in a controversial subject like election and SIR and stuff like that, but if you say, show me the document to say that you are Mr. X, do you know that 40% of this country's population did not have any document to prove their individual identity? They may have had a ration cards and stuff like that. We actually gave the identity on the basis of Pradhan certificate, Sarpanch certificate, somebody, in the village ward commissioner certificate saying that I know this person, he is so and so. So essentially it has to be inclusive. Because if you give identity to those who already have an identity paper, then you will never be able to do anything, because so many few people have got identity paper. So we created de novo identity to a large number of people. And people might say, oh, how do you know that somebody who came to you as Mr. R.S. Sharma is not R.S. Sharma, but maybe somebody else, maybe Amitabh Bachchan? How do you know? So we told them that, okay, he comes as R.S. Sharma, but he's Amitabh Bachchan. Next time he will say, I am Amitabh Bachchan, and therefore I must now try to get an identity in name of Amitabh Bachchan. And at that time the system will say, no friend, you are already R.S. Sharma. Some people did try that. So technology actually ensured that the incentive to tell a lie is not there. First time when you will go with your real identity. And then you will get that identity. And thereafter you can't get anything else. So therefore it will ensure that it's a true identity. So the fact that somebody has, in fact some people tried, one person tried he got an identity in some other's name. And then when he went to get the identity in his name, he was denied, saying that, no, you have already got that in other's name. And then, of course, he started going and, he went some court cases and all that. But courts also says, bhai, aisa kyun? Bhai, if you have gone there, you have impersonated yourself. So you be blamed for it, yaar. So this is another part. So it has to be inclusive. That is another attribute. It also has to be interoperable, because in a country which speaks 26 languages, 26 are the recognized languages, there are 1600 dialects, there are large thousands of, all kinds of languages. You can't create a single system. So it has to be catering to the diversity of our country. And actually we celebrate diversity. Diversity is not a liability for us. Diversity is we celebrate it. We think that this is so beautiful, such a beautiful thing for our country. So that's another part. It has to be plug and play, which means it should be able to plug into any system. So we did not create a functional identity. We created a foundational identity. So now you can use this identity to create other identities. You can have driving license, you can have other kinds of things. And you can plug it into banking transactions, you can plug it into getting mobile SIM, you can get into ration card, stuff like that. So these were some of the defining principles of technology which we actually created. And now it is commonly known as what is called digital public infrastructure. So you created an infrastructure which is digital and which is for public. And you created it in such a manner that it solves the maximum number of problems. So what we did not create an identity for a domain, for a function, for a specific purpose. We created a purpose agnostic identity or an eligibility less identity, just proving X is X. Now this X is X proof is required for almost every function. If you go to a bank, they say, who are you? If you go to a mobile SIM, they say, prove that you are who you claim to be. So those are the principles of digital public infrastructure, which we created. And that actually has given rise to a new way of doing technology projects on a massive scale. And this is, DPI way is the way where you do not create a whole solution, but you create something which can be used by multiple solutions. So this actually has created a lot of startups, lot of banking has happened, direct benefit transfers have happened on the basis of Aadhaar. You know, in COVID times, imagine how people were getting DBT, how the farmers and the poor villagers were getting direct benefit transfer, because Aadhaar has created what is called a financial address for each person. Because bank account, Aadhaar has created bank accounts. Today, 82% of India's people have got bank accounts, which means that now I don't need to know your bank account number. I just need to know your Aadhaar, and the money will go directly to your bank account. So this is the power of technology which has been created. And now the world recognizes this approach, the digital public infrastructure approach. And believe me, a lot of countries, I myself as an individual keep on getting calls from a number of countries saying that, can you advise us, can you help us in creating DPIs in our own country? The G20 meeting which took place, and there is a whole couple of paragraphs on the DPI. So that's one part. Secondly, I think what has also happened is that this country has had a very comprehensive program launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in 2015 called Digital India. And the Digital India program has got three, layers. One is the infrastructure layer, which means we should create digital infrastructure as a utility to citizen. And infrastructure includes both the digital infrastructure and also the hard infrastructure. And hard infrastructure is like telecom infrastructure. Now today, imagine 1.2 billion mobile connections we have got in this country. The tele density is as high as 94%. We have got 800 million smartphones. These smartphones are rising at the rate of 25 millions per quarter. We have the cheapest data rate in the world, 7 rupees per gigabyte. In 200 rupees or 250 rupees, I don't know, the telecom companies have raised prices recently, but I think even now it is quite cheap. People are making video calls. My laborers from my state of Jharkhand and Bihar who are working in Delhi, every evening they call their families on a video call. This is the revolution which has happened, the telecom revolution. We created what is called in TRAI, we created net neutrality. Now, many people don't understand what is the faida of this net neutrality. Kya hoga isse? Net neutrality basically says that internet is a free and permissionless space for any person, entity which wants to. Telecom service providers cannot become its gatekeeper. Which means otherwise, if there was no net neutrality, if I am a startup, I am developing some application and which is to be put on the internet, I will have to approach the telecom service provider, bhaiya mera application ko access de dena. They can't become gatekeepers. So basically net neutrality states that internet, the telecom service provider cannot discriminate between a data from application A to the data with application B. Whether it's a pornography or whether it is satsang, both of them will be charged at the same rate by the telecom service providers. I mean, maybe it's a bad example, but what I'm saying is that you cannot distinguish, differentiate. But the point is, these are some of the policy stuff which has been done in this country, and that has enabled the people, startups to come in. Today we are a vibrant nation of startups, which is actually happening. Millions, thousands of startups are coming in almost every field. So these are the defining principles. Then came the UPI, the Unified Payment Interface, which actually again is a digital public infrastructure which untangled or which unbundled the banks from the payment system. Now there is a payment service provider independent. I can link n number of my bank accounts and I can make payments, and everybody is doing that. Nowadays last month we have had more than 20 billion transactions. 20, how many crores? 20,000 crores or 2,000 crores. Something like that. 2,000 crores per. This is what we are. So basically every day we are having 7 crore transactions or 70 crores. So this is what is basically happening with UPI. This is another digital public infrastructure. We now have Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which again seeks to digitize the health records of this country. This project was started in September 2021, launched by our Honorable Prime Minister. And I mean, I must say that I've been very, very lucky to have been a part of India's digital journey. We started Aadhaar, then we started UPI, then we started TRAI, net neutrality. Then I was called for CoWIN. So we made CoWIN. CoWIN is another example of a digital public infrastructure. What had happened was that I retired, and I am just somehow relating it. Don't think it is a boasting part of thing, but I'm telling you, I retired in 2020, and I was called back in 2021 January, and to ask me to do this digital stuff called CoWIN, vaccination, platform. And we created vaccination platform, and all of you must have used it, I am sure. It gave you where the vaccine are being given. You can register yourself on the platform. You can get an appointment with the hospital. You can go to the hospital. You can get an injection done. Then you can have a certificate. Digital certificate can be downloaded to show that, yes, I have been vaccinated. And that is actually protected certificate. No, it's not. It cannot be spoofed. And then next time onwards also the system reminds you that now if you have had, let's say, Covishield, it will give you that, all right, 28 days, next dose is due. And now it can show you the only hospitals which are giving Covishield only, not the Covaxin. So that platform, and that platform is now a digital platform. And we actually opened the platform as far as the public interface is concerned. You can access this platform from Make My Trip, from Paytm, from everything. 150, we had common APIs, open APIs. So one of the defining principles of digital public infrastructure is have open API and open standards so that the application or whatever you have made can connect seamlessly with other applications. So that's another very, very important architectural principle of digital public infrastructure. So CoWIN was made. Then, of course, the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. We are now trying in the digital commerce space, which is the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC, which also, initially it is just about 2 years or 3 years that it has been launched. But I think it has a great future because we have understood the interoperability and the democratization of the whole digital system. We don't want to have proprietary systems, flourishing. Proprietary they can be, but in their own domain. Insofar as they connect to other systems, they need to expose APIs. They need to expose connectors so that we can connect systems. So this is what is the landscape of digital technologies, which is the societal scale digital technologies which have happened in the country. Now the question comes, what happens now? What is the future? How does the future proceed? So one thing which I want to say is that all these digital technologies which are happening at a scale, population scale, or AI is actually a layer which can be put on top of that, and that can improve the functioning of all these technologies. Because ultimately, artificial intelligence in some sense actually enables you to, scour the data, get the data, present the data. That's one. Secondly, what is going to happen is the multilingual part will be very easily solved by the AI. We now have what is called a project running in this country called Bhashini. Bhashini is a project which actually enables you to communicate in multiple languages. The translation, the language, so you can interact with the system through your voice in your own language and get a response in your language itself. How does it happen? You speak, that gets transliterated or transcripted in that language of yours. Thereafter, it gets translated to English. It then searches the knowledge base, which is actually the large language models and the other kinds of models, the specific domain-led model, and then it extracts the material in English, puts it back, it translates it into the language which is required, and then it can have text to speech, so the computer can speak back to you. So when you say, क्या मैं आयुष्मान भारत का लाभार्थी हूँ, तो immediately it say, अच्छा ठीक है भाई आप अपना आधार बताइए या दूसरा चीज़ बताइए, and then it can get into the system and can come back. So it actually becomes hugely inclusive. So this is what AI is actually going to make all these existing systems much better to use. That's one thing which I would say. Second, I think is important is in health, it is going to play an extremely important role, especially in diagnostics, because it can analyze. If you have a huge X-rays, for example, in Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, PMJY, we process 1.2 million records, 1.2 million patients' records, not 1.2 million records, but 1.2, maybe a patient has got 5-6 reports, X-ray, diagnostics, diabetes ka report, etc. It can process that, and actually, if the data is anonymized and given to these AI systems, they can have beautifully, they can actually come back with huge diagnostics. So you train this data on a large data of Indian patients, and then when you put in a new X-ray saying that this is the X-ray, please tell me what is the disease, the system can come back to you and actually can tell you what the problem is. So this is one area which is the immediate use area. Similarly, education. Our education system in the villages is not very great. When I go to my village and I say, the time is up, right? Okay, fine. I can speak and I know it's very difficult to. So anyway, what I'm saying is there is a future of AI, machine learning, deep learning, which actually can transform. And what we need to do is we need to do it in a manner that it impacts the population and it can make the lives of the people much better. Thank you very much, friends, once again for inviting me to this forum, and hope to see you in Calcutta. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. So now I request, sir, please join us on stage. Also, I request Mr. Kali Mahapatra, Head INFOCOM, to please join us and felicitate sir with a token of respect. Can we have big round applause, everyone?